I usually have a couple beers during these podcasts as well, and it's 1 p.m. and I'm supposed to be working right now, so I do have just a cup of coffee, unfortunately.
The thoughts there.
So
thanks for doing it early.
Yeah, Dunes, thank you for being on the podcast.
No worries.
When this comes out, your album will be out the very next day, I believe, Gargoyle. So congrats on that. And I appreciate you guys coming on here and telling me about it. And we're going to share a video later of a new single, new music video. So very cool. Thanks for being on.
Cheers, man.
Thanks for having us,
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
So I think I first heard... trying to think of what the first song or album was. This Must Be the Plague, maybe, was the first one that I heard.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that had something to do with COVID. Yeah, it was in 21 when you released it, or just a coincidence.
A bit of a coincidence. We started writing it before it all kind of kicked off. It was more about the UK government's approach to the whole Brexit mess. So a lot of it was more influenced kind of that, and the whole Trump thing that was going on as well, and the kind of maybe the similarities between the two, and how it was kind of polarizing different people within the communities. So I think lyrics wise there might be a reference to the pandemic, but I don't think it was get to the point where it was like, oh, everything's going to break for 2 years.
I've noticed that there's been a couple bands that have released songs or albums or something with stuff about, like, you know, plague and sickness and the end of the world and all that kind of stuff. And some of them even came out before COVID, so they really had nothing to do with it. But man, the timing is a little eerie.
We thought that. And I think when John suggested that title as well, because it's kind of a play on words with the Talking Heads song, and like I think the amount of laughter that brought about when he first came up with it, we were like, yeah, we definitely have to call it that. And then it like the title gave it a little bit of kind of modern relevance, but it was kind of unintentional. Like the song wasn't necessarily about that.
Got it. Speaking of creative titles, the next one that I heard, I went back and listened to the first album called "Take Me to the Nasties." Where did that title come from?
It's from I don't know if you get it in the US, but there's a TV series called Peep Show.
I feel like maybe I have seen it, but it's been a long time. I don't know it very well.
It's a reference from that, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it's a line from Peep Show, which is great. It's a really, really good show. Very, very dry and very cutting at times, but yeah, it's a really good show. It's just I just thought it was a bit of a funny line.
I think they had Peep Show on Netflix for a while, and I remember watching it with a couple of my buddies. The same guy had like a different show or something too, right? Didn't he have a couple shows on there?
Yeah, they've done a few. The two main comedians, Mitchell and Webb. I think Mitchell and Webb. Yeah, they've done quite a few. So
yeah. Okay, that's good to know. I didn't know that.
So yeah, it was just a kind of a funny title, and I kind of like a lot of the imagery that it creates as well, because I think it's quite comical title, but at the same time, you know, what are the nasties? What would they look like? You know, why are you being taken? Why do you want to go and see them? You know, is it your choice? So I think it opens up quite a lot of cool imagery.
I mean, it's something nasty is a little rock and roll anyway, and it sounds like a little dark and stuff. But just saying "Take Me to the Nasties" kind of has like a little bit of a sense of humor to it too. So I like it.
Cool.
I like that about it.
Oh well, that's good. There's definitely a sense. There's definitely humor runs through a lot of. We don't take ourselves too seriously, so there's definitely a bit of humor runs through a lot of the lyrics.
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, if you look at some of the other song titles, like Denim Casket and Sea Pig, we don't take the song titles that seriously, really.
I think we have for Gargoyle. I think we've slightly reined it in a little.
Well, I was going to ask about that a little bit too, because Gargoyle, I wanted to ask you what you thought kind of the difference in approach and the end product was from some of this other music. But to me, listening to it, it did have a little bit more serious of a tone. Maybe there was like a little bit of a departure with some like different, just some different sounds, maybe like a few more melodic parts throughout, or like different writing or something. But like, from your perspective, how does Gargoyle compare to some of that other stuff that you've put out?
Well, I think we had quite honest discussions, which I'm sure a lot of bands do, of elements of previous recordings that we enjoyed and we would like to take forward and kind of explore in a little bit more detail, and some of the elements that maybe as three individuals weren't massively struck on as a whole. So we had kind of good chats about the kind of areas that we would maybe like to delve into a little bit deeper on these songs. And I think that was something subconsciously we wanted to get a little bit further into the darker, kind of heavier side of it, but then push the melody side of it a little bit more, maybe take it down a bit of a gear. So, because Nasty's, a lot of the stuff is quite fast, whereas I think it's a bit more mid-paced, this, and it's a bit more cool, and it's got a bit more of a groove to it, which was very much intentional. So yeah, I think that's kind of that's the initial discussions that we had about it.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely like on Nasties, there's like kind of a Queens of Stone Age vibe, kind of that like more like rock and roll, like faster paced thing. And Circles was a good example of that. Yeah. One of the singles that you put out. And Solid States off of Gargoyle is kind of one of those tracks too, a little bit. But there is a lot of a little bit more like you said, like middle paced stuff.
Yeah. Well, we've done that quite a lot. We've done that kind of faster, kind of bit more frantic type stuff quite a bit on the first EPs, and definitely on the album. The album's pretty much just straight into fifth gear and then you're away, you know, so it doesn't really, it's quite relentless. So we thought, well, you know, we'll try something a little bit different. I think songs can breathe a little bit more. Plus the songs that are maybe a little bit faster paced stand out on an album as being faster paced songs, whereas if the full album is one constant pace, it all kind of gets a little bit messy. So yeah, once again, that was pretty much a conscious decision.
Yeah, I mean, beforehand we'd sort of talked about like the type of albums that we thought worked as an album together, because previously we'd had right, this is an album, this is 10 songs. Whereas with this, we thought more about the order and sort of the types of songs, because there were some songs that would even recorded that were just we talked about and we're like, yeah, it just doesn't fit. So whereas I think previously we would have been like, yep, we wanted to do 5 songs, we've done 5 songs, we'll just put them out. Whereas this time
we'll make them fit, but
yeah.
But yeah, we're a bit more refined with this, weren't we?
Yeah. And I mean, we had a lot of time to sort of flesh ideas out as well, because some of the songs were demoed even before the pandemic, and we didn't really stop writing things. Like a lot of bands sort of maybe thought, oh well, there's this pandemic, we can't do anything. Whereas straight away we were still sort of sending each other ideas, like, oh, here's this little idea of recorded, things like that. So we sort of had quite a clear idea, and we'd sort of got rid of a load of the ideas that maybe we thought weren't going to go with the idea we all had in our heads.
Yeah.
Like we were all booked
left over. Are there songs left over from that period that didn't quite make this new album that you're just kind of left on the chopping room floor? Or?
There's a few full songs. There's some sort of not full songs, but ideas that maybe would see the light of day another time. And I think when we started writing this one, it was potentially going to be a totally different album, because we were writing it with in mind that I don't know if Ed had mentioned it, but so we were supposed to be traveling to the States to record this album, but that evidently didn't happen.
Yeah,
it just kept getting pushed, and then we decided to record it in the UK, and then ended up we just did it ourselves.
Yeah, it's kind of kind of forced. Well, not forced into it. We decided to, but yeah, like everything was all booked in, and like February 2020. So that's what we're working towards. Recording in October, and then there was a lockdown. It was like, this isn't going so well. Can't see each other, and then it was like, okay, maybe this thing's not going to happen. So what do we do now? And like we like Nikki says, we kept going with stuff, and we kept sharing ideas. We kept writing because we were like, well, we don't want to stop. Like we've no intention of stopping or anything. Like let's just crack on, and when we can't get in and do stuff, we'll do stuff. And that's very us. Like we'll make it happen somehow.
So the Plague and Circles were released as just standalone singles, right? Was that because they didn't fit in with the new album that you were writing, or were they just recorded at a different time and you just decided to put them out, or what was the decision behind that?
Kind of both. In my head, Plague was intended for the album, but then it gradually became less so, and then we were like, actually, let's record something and put it out, because it was like becoming apparent that we weren't going to be doing the album when we thought. So we're like, well, let's do something, and like I say, put it out as a single, and with Circles as well, just to kind of like let people know we still exist, kind of thing. So
sure, So
I think
tell me about Solid State specifically. That was your first single off of Gargoyle, and it's kind of like the banger on the album, I think. It's kind of got that similar vibe to like Circles, and kind of a little bit faster pace, a little bit heavier in some places. Like, what was that song about? How did that fit with the rest of the album?
Well, Kim, it was an idea of Nicky's. So Nicky pretty much came down. I think it was pretty much the entire song. Maybe not the middle 8. Maybe that was written afterwards. I can't remember, if I'm honest with you. But Nicky came down with pretty much the full song. So what we normally do is somebody will bring an idea at the table, and we'll kind of jam it out and see if it works and see how it fits. And then once we've got a bit of a structure in mind, then we can start looking at kind of lyrics and melodies and whatnot. So it was just one of the songs that we had worked on, really. I think it was maybe about song number 6 or 7 that we had worked on, somewhere around about the midpoint. So it wasn't one of the first ones. It was definitely around about the middle of the writing process. And it just felt like quite a natural fit as a first single, because I think it's different enough from Nasties without being too different from Nasties, if that makes any sense. Whereas some of the stuff on the album is quite slow and a bit more mid-paced and a bit heavier and a bit darker. Whereas I thought people who do like us, it might be too much of a departure. Whereas Solid State is a bit more of a nod to Nasties, but it's also, well, this is where we're at now, and this is the type of sound we've got. So I think that was the original idea for choosing that as a single. It was this kind of toss-up between this single and the next single, Walking to the Waves, which comes out
tomorrow.
So it was kind of tossed last week when this comes out. But
Oh well, okay. So that came out last week. So it was a toss-up between the two, and Solid State won because it was just a bit more of a immediate hit. Maybe not hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was more, more instantly kind of palatable.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I'm interested to see what people think of Walking to the Waves.
So let's talk about Walking to the Waves, because I have it queued up, and we'll play the video for everybody here in this podcast. So tell us a little bit about Walking to the Waves, and where some of that came from, and what we can expect from this video coming here.
It's quite an old song, actually. This is probably one of the first ones we wrote for the album.
Yeah, it was the first or second one we had.
I think we were toying with the idea, maybe even close to just after we released Nasties, maybe.
Yeah.
I think it is the original idea is quite old.
Yeah. So it's about 2-year-old, the original demo. I think we had that demoed in terms of just us rehearsing in a room. I think just as the pandemic kind of really kicked off, and we were told that we're not allowed to see each other anymore.
Yeah.
So we had that kind of on the back burner almost. Not, we didn't really have an option really. So so that was one of the first ones we had, and musically it's got a bit of a sea shanty feel to it. It's got a bit of a kind of a swing to it, which we've never really had before. And lyrically, it's quite dark. It's about kind of intrusive thoughts and suicidal intrusive thoughts as well, and then how you kind of deal with those, and whether you choose to act on something, whether you don't choose to act on something. So lyrically, that's where it's coming from. Yeah.
Okay. Let's check it out.
Cool.
So this is Walking to the Waves. right. I was walking to the waves. That was awesome.
Cheers, man.
There it was.
Is it hard? I don't know how many music video you guys have made.
Glad you like it.
Hard to like see yourselves in a music video at all. I mean, sometimes when they do like just a band playing, that's one thing. But like when you have to kind of like walk serious on the beach and that kind of stuff, like does it feel weird? Because every day when I have to edit this podcast, every word that I say, I cringe, and I have to edit it, and I have to watch like hours of myself, and I hate every second of it. So I mean, not only do you have to watch yourself, like try to look serious walking, but then you have to hear your own voice, and you have to see yourselves play, and you have to do it. I mean, is it hard to do some of that stuff sometimes?
Yeah, I think that. So the guy that did the video, Isaac, is pretty good at kind of like directing, I guess. So he'd worked it out. So it was like, okay, let's go down there in this particular place, and it won't be too busy as well. So you might feel a bit silly at first, but it's not going to be too long, and it'll look good in the end. Blah blah blah. So
yeah,
he was good at making sure we didn't feel like twats.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was kind of like weird, like trying to walk slow and look
serious, and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but then like it's hard. The other thing, it'd be cool to do a funny video, but I think it's some like people try to do funny videos and then they come off like so like not funny or like in jokey or just, and it's just a bit like nah. Yeah. So as much as we'd love to do a Red Fang video, like I don't think we can yet. So one day.
So I wanted to ask you about like kind of the guitar tone a little bit, and I'm so far from like a gearhead. I don't know anything about pedals and amps and all that kind of stuff. I have two very cheap guitars that I barely play ever, but you have a very distinct guitar sound, and it's reminiscent of like a Queens of the Stone Age, like Songs for the Deaf kind of era of guitar tone to me. But do you have any thoughts on that? Do you want to like talk about any of the pedals you use or the effects or anything like that? Because this is not really in my wheelhouse, but I do always notice the guitar tone when I listen to Dunes.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, the majority of the time live, I use it. It's a Hagstrom guitar, which is a kind of hollow body or chambered hollow body, which kind of gives quite a big sound. I've got about 4 or 5 guitars, 6 maybe. Anyway, and I keep bouncing between different guitars and always go back to the same guitar to use all the time. And amp is normally in orange dual Terra is what I use. But the sound on the album, Nicky's maybe best to talk to you about that because he recorded it. So it's an amalgamation of a few different amps. So I'm not much of a gearhead either, if I'm perfectly honest with you. I just like cool sounding. I like a nice sounding guitar and a nice sounding amp and maybe a pedal or two. So yeah, Nicky.
I'm the enabler of the band. I'm just saying, have you tried this pedal? It sounds so good. I think I have probably for a drummer, I have more pedals than both of them two combined.
Easy.
But yeah, it was, the main sound of it was a mix of 2 amps. It was the orange and this. So about a year or so ago, on Facebook Marketplace, me and John both saw that there was this studio selling some really, really old solid state amps for like really cheap. So we bought those, and one of them sounds absolutely fantastic. It's the amp that a lot of the sort of the glam rock from the 70s used, like Mark Bolan and stuff. So it's a mixture of those 2 amps together. Which I think gives it a bit of a different sound to what it's not just, here's a big Marshall amp or here's a big orange amp. It's like, here's this weird amp that nobody really knows about and makes some funny noises.
Yeah.
And it's just,
I remember like Jack White talking about one of his guitars that way, and he found some like guitar at like a Salvation Army or some or Goodwill store and a thrift shop basically. And like it had this like weird defect in it that had this weird sound if he like hit one of the switches or something a certain way.
Yeah.
And then it became almost like their signature sound over the years. I mean, he had like, guitar makers like try to replicate it, and they couldn't do it. And he's just like, I have to use this like $7 guitar, And I find like the stories like that like so fascinating of like you know, it sounds a certain way because no one else on their right mind would use it this way. You know, I love that.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what happened with this. It's like, I think we paid like what, 50 quid for 4 amplifiers.
Yeah.
Not all of them worked, but yeah, it was like that amp mixed with the orange. Yeah, if it was just one of them, it didn't sound all that inspiring, but the two together sort of made the sound you hear.
Yeah, it sounds great, and it was I think it's dated maybe about 1978, something like that. So
I think it is. Yeah,
it's definitely it's the oldest member of Dunes by a couple of years.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a as Nicky says, it's a really cool sounding amp. But the mix of the two is kind of throughout the album. Really, there's not a huge amount of guitars going on. There's only really 2 guitar tracks. There's a little bit of doubling here and there, and a little, lead parts and little flourishes and things. But for the most part, it's just 2 guitar tracks.
Well, yeah, because we recorded it live, as opposed to me doing the drums, then Ed coming doing the bass, John doing the guitar. Would just all set up in our room and just played the songs and then done a few overdubs.
Yeah,
because just thought the albums we like we all like albums from like the 70s and stuff like that, and we talked about sort of bands like Rainbow or Zeppelin and Sabbath, how they recorded albums and why they still sound so good now.
Yeah,
and they all recorded them live. They didn't record them in isolation, so we thought we'll give it a try and see how it goes. And it was definitely our preferred method of doing it. It was less stressful.
Yeah, it sounded like a band. Like, I think that's the thing. And, and that's like I think everything's got its place, and like I love stuff when it does sound slick and like certain bands pull it off. But I think we were very much like we want to sound like we do live, I guess. And,
well, yeah, like there's mistakes in places, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
like, no like massive whammies that make it sound, oh, there's a mistake there, that you can't pick them out unless you're one of us 3 that have sat and listened to it 50,000 times.
Right. Well, I think you guys have a pretty definitive sound. Like I feel like I would be able to pick out a Dune song in a mix of other music, which is not necessarily easy to do for a band with 2 albums out. I mean, I feel like even a lot of bands that are 2, 3, 4 albums are still trying to like find that thing that kind of separates them a little bit, But I feel like it has a certain vibe and a certain sound and a certain tone to it that is definitely you guys.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Because I guess we do kind of lump in with the stoner rock stuff, but I think we've always kind of not wanted to do exactly. It's just that, and you can't like vary from it too much. Like, and we want to have like like what John was saying before, like we want the melodies and stuff. Like we want choruses and stuff. Like, and it was more of a challenge to do stuff like that. Like proper songcraft, and not just like here's a riff, here's another riff, and then there's a slow bit kind of thing, which I'm bang into. And if it was up to me, it'd probably all be like that. But that's the other 2 are the main writers and much better at these sort of things. So yeah, but we try hard to kind of like make I guess the distinct sound is good. So
what is kind of like that mission for Dunes as far as like what kind of a band you're trying to be? Like when you got together and started Dunes, was it like let's make a specific thing, or like let's sound like a certain thing, or like what is in your head now and what was it when it started and going forward?
I think I'll jump in and answer that because I'm the only original member, and basically it was there was other people involved, and it was all from a kind of one of those like dating websites for band people, like Join My Band or whatever. And the original thing was like Iron Monkey, Conan, Electric Wizard, like total straight up Doom riffs. And so there was like an initial 4 of us, and then John joined, and then he kind of, I'm pretty sure like John, myself, and another guy, Scott, talked about like people like Death from Above and Millionaire, and kind of like the non so obvious Queens of the Stone Age things. where there was a bit more to them than just straight up stoner. And I think we kind of like gelled on that, and we're like, all right, let's do something a bit more interesting and stuff. And I think we just kind of ran with that early on, and that's where it went initially. After that, I don't know.
Still figuring it out.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so. That's the exciting bit.
Yeah.
Well, that was when you mentioned that, Ian, about there being an advertisement. There was two. So there was one advertisement that said, "Dunes, we want to sound like Electric Wizards, Conan, etc." And then there was another one that says, "Dunes, we want to sound like Queens of the Stone Age, Millionaire, Caius." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's because I'm not massively into really." Yeah, I'm not massively into. Maybe I've joined the wrong band. Maybe I've joined the wrong band. Right? Sorry, guys, I'm gonna have to leave. There's a band somewhere wants to sound like Queens of Stone Age.
Yeah, they've gone doom.
So yeah, there was two, and I remember reading one and thinking, "Well, I don't really like that stuff," and then reading the other one and being, "Oh, okay, I like Caius and I like and Queens and stuff." So
like,
so yeah,
and don't get me wrong, like we're all into that sort of stuff, but I think it was like there's a lot of people doing it, and we were like, well, let's try and do something a bit more creative with it. And
so are you constantly trying to push it into like a more Electric Wizard type of sound, or
I'm trying. Yeah. But and also I think it'd be a bit disingenuous as well, like if you listen to someone like Electric Wizard, like it's proper like nihilistic and like what's the word, misanthropic and stuff, and we're not really like that. So it would seem at odds and dishonest to like try and do that. And it's not to say we don't have those feelings within us at times, but overall it's not us, so
right. Yeah,
that's what I'd say anyway.
Yeah, I think when we play sort of gigs and festivals and stuff with sort of like-minded bands, and like we all said, we all like the Caius thing. When you've got 20 bands playing the sort of a similar type of music, it's hard to stand out. So I think we kind of not intentionally, but I think because our main influence isn't that sort of stoner rock thing. It's like, I mean, my main thing sort of like Zeppelin, Sabbath, stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's why we don't sound like all the other, well, not all the other, but like a lot of stoner rock bands, that we don't sort of rely heavily on the same influences as everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. All the bands that I've talked to on here and others, even if they sound exactly like Caius or they sound exactly like Queens of Stone Age or something, I mean, no one comes on here and goes, we're all fans of Caius. We want to make a band like Caius, and that's what we're doing. Like, no one says that. It's always like, I like, and it's always some I like Genesis, and now we're in a stoner rock band, and you're like, none of it makes sense really on paper, but like that's just how it works. It's just how bands are made.
Yeah.
I think once you start playing a bit slower and tune your guitar down to C, you're more than likely going to end up in one place, and that's sounded like Caius. It is quite easy to sort of fall into that. Yeah. Well, not trap, but it's quite easy to fall into those sort of those type of sounds, because that's what they were: big, heavy guitars, tuned low, played a bit slower.
But the reason everybody mentions Caius all the time is because they were great as well.
Well,
the reason that all these bands sound like Caius is because Caius were amazing. Like, in the early Queen stuff is really good. It's it's genre defying bands. Those bands that took elements previously, but there's so many bands that have released albums in the last 10, 15, 20 years that just sound so much like Caius, but taking the elements that Caius made great. So it's not a bad thing. But it's just they're one of the big boys, aren't they? So hopefully they'll never get back together.
I mean, everyone mentions Black Sabbath also. That's kind of
Yeah.
That's at least the starting point for just about everything, I feel like. And even the bands that sound exactly like Black Sabbath will be like, oh no, it's not. But yeah, we like Black Sabbath, but we, it's really more about like something else. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if Airborne say they're like AC/DC. Do you think they ever say
like who? Never fucking heard.
Never heard of them, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, I think if we were to say that, with like, especially me, if I was to say, "Oh yeah, I'm not that influenced by Black Sabbath," I'd be totally lying.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I am.
Yeah. I suppose there's been like bits where we've like I've tried to write a bit, not me but us. Like we've tried to write a bit like a band, or like someone will be like, "Oh, I love that song. Like let's sort of like do an idea like that," like.
Yeah.
But once, and it's the same with any band, like once you, however many there are, start playing it, you'll play it in your own way and it becomes its own thing and it becomes like totally different. And and I think that's the thing. And like, because I'm always saying, oh, it doesn't sound too much like whatever. It's because it'll sound like us once we start playing it. And because if it's just one person's idea, it might be like, well, that's totally just that. But,
right. Yeah.
Once everyone else is on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I want to do a segment now that I call Real or Fuzzed. I'm going to show you 10 album covers, and some of them are real album covers, and some of them are not.
Yeah.
And you have to guess which is which.
Wait, I've just cottoned on to something. Did you do the Urkels?
Yeah.
Brilliant. I just remembered about that.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Excellent. Right.
All right, here's the first one. It's called The Clip Boys.
That'll be real.
I want that to be real.
Yeah, I'm going to go with real.
Yeah.
It's real. This is real.
It's real.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Goblin
that's
Cock.
real. Yeah.
Yeah, real.
Yeah.
No one ever knew what this album was, and I just discovered it myself not that long ago. And I don't know if you saw this new metal movie that's on Netflix. I forget what it's called. It was like on a poster in the background. I'm like, holy shit, someone else knows what Goblin Cock is.
That's why I thought it was real, because I saw it on that film. I watched it the other day.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to stop using this one now that they've made it too big. All right, Donnie and Marie going coconuts.
Oh, that's got to be real.
I'm going to go with no.
Yeah.
But I bet they had one like called, I don't know, going pineapples or going bananas or something.
This is real. This is the real Donnie and Marie album.
Ah.
Eternal Guardians of the Black Dragon's Lair, Curse of the Warlock's Dark Potion, Battle at the Princess Chambers, Chapter 1.
Oh, that's so ridiculous. It has to be real.
I think we played with them once, actually.
Yeah, was it?
Did they sound like guys?
This is
I'm gonna go fake this one.
Yeah.
Fuzz.
I just wanted to create the longest, most obnoxious band and album title ever.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if that was a real band.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the guys are obviously real. I stole that picture from somebody, but this is called Truck Stop Dump.
What's this one?
Truck Stop Dump. Sorry about your shitter.
Fake. And I'm going to say fake because if it was real, I feel like I would have heard of it.
I'm going to go with
it sounds like someone I've been to.
Yeah,
this is Fuzz. This is fake. Gay Cowboys in Bondage.
That's real. I'm going with that. That's 19 early 80s punk. Real.
Yeah.
Well, see, I'm gonna go fake just on account of the fact that there's gay bikers on acid.
Oh yeah. I'm with Aid. I think that's a fuzzed one.
This is real. I don't know what it sounds like, but it's real.
Classic overthinking.
Yeah. Predator. Easy prey.
Honestly, I hope that this is a fuzzed one. I really hope that this isn't real.
Yeah, it's got to be fake.
Yeah, I'm going to fuzz that one.
This is real.
Oh no!
Oh, that's pretty awful.
Yeah.
Hilarious, but pretty awful.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Hopeless. Praying to Satan, I lose my virginity.
I wish it was
could see
real,
that
but it's
being real.
fake. That one.
Yeah, that one's fake. The women folk.
That's got to be real.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real.
All
I think they play in my village.
Probably.
All right, last one.
Yay!
100%
Yeah, that's definitely real.
You guys did know who Urkel was, right? I after I posted it, I was like, I don't know, maybe they're not as it's not as popular in other.
It is not as popular in England, or it's a bit obscure, but enough people got it, or enough people are aware of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculously huge here in the States in like the 90s, but
I don't get pop culture references at all, so I didn't get it. But
yeah,
that doesn't mean anything.
I've seen enough Family Guy to know.
Yeah. All right. So now the second half of this is called the Fuzz Round, where you guys have to come up with a funny album cover for some of these other photos.
Oh yeah.
So what would you call this album here?
I don't even know what to say for this.
School's out for summer. Summer camp in Hartlepool.
Dracula's belt.
That's got to be a Wasp album cover.
Yeah. Cracking rack. Skeletal support.
Bones and boobs.
Bones and boobs.
Wizard sleeve.
Not again, Granddad. Behavior's
Granddad day out.
Yeah.
Is that Gandalf?
Gandalf's wizardly secret.
I love that picture. So good.
It's gonna haunt my dreams. Kiss 4.
Paul Stanley unmasked.
Isn't that Gene Simmons unmasked?
Yeah.
That's just Gene Simmons without his makeup on.
Same hairstyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same jacket as well.
Can that one just be called Going Down?
Yes. Plummeting the depths.
Oh, what's that?
I don't know if John, you'll be familiar with them. Ed, I'm not sure you will be, but The Beast.
Oh,
Kev.
The Beast, yeah.
I know Kev the Beast.
There's this guy around Newcastle that's known for when he goes to gigs, if he likes the song, he will get completely naked.
And
just start like whipping it around. And at the end of the song, he'll sit back down and put all his clothes back on.
Oh man,
so
it's incredible.
That's not this guy though, right?
No, it's not.
Okay.
I mean, similar stature.
Yeah. Similar clothes as well.
I played in a band with Kev's mates, and he was at the one gig that we did, and he got completely naked. And then like afterwards, it's like, "Oh, Kev, this is my wife, Lynn's," and he just like came over and she like ran away. Oh, he's a lovely man.
Oh, I don't know where to start with that one.
With his eyes.
The return of the. Oh no, I can't think of anything funny for that. It's brilliant. Self-titled.
Yeah. All right, this is the last one.
Oh, that's from V, isn't it?
Who is that?
It's from the TV show V.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's 80s TV show about lizards who took over Earth. It's good. I think it's from V. Yeah, it is.
I have no idea.
I'm going to watch it. That sounds like my cup of tea.
I call it the Royal Family.
I did look at it and think that was like a budget Sigourney Weaver.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, check it out, V, when you finish this.
Will do.
It's dated like a pint of milk, I would imagine now.
Yeah, but
it was. There's a scene where this woman gives birth to a half lizard, half human hybrid thing, and it scared me as a kid. Like, you know, when you're so scared watching things as a kid, you're like, you can't sleep and you feel sick and you And to this day, years ago, I was like, right, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to find it on YouTube and I'm going to watch it. And it is the worst, cheapest looking thing you've ever seen.
I remember being a kid and like, I didn't watch a lot of Star Trek really, but I remember watching, I think it was Star Trek, some episode where it was like this big black blob was coming out of something. And I remember being a kid, like, holy shit, like that's terrifying. And then now thinking like, I don't really watch Star Trek. I'm not into that kind of stuff. That probably wasn't scary at all. It was probably cheesy and just going like, I don't know what was so scary. Or the first time I watched King Kong when I was a kid, like the black and white version, and being like, this is awesome. And then now being an adult going, God, that looks terrible. It's a guy in a suit and it's black and white and it's all blurry and it's like,
but you're so receptive when you're a kid. Like, I remember watching Star Wars as a kid and like I just assumed it was all. I didn't assume, but it was all real to me. You know what I mean? Whereas like, that kind of it's like your loss of innocence. It's sad, but
It's a Lost Boys for me. I remember my mum putting that on when I was like 4 or 5 years old and being absolutely terrified. And now if I watch it, it's like it's just funny. It's not even scary at all.
Well, Thriller as well. I remember when Thriller first came out.
Oh man!
And I was like, shit, man! Like you just couldn't get away with something like that nowadays. You couldn't release, something like the biggest pop star in the world. I don't know who that is nowadays. I don't know who it is, but releasing I don't know if he's the biggest.
Yes, he is.
Releasing a video that's scary nowadays. It just wouldn't
really
happen, man.
It was like,
no,
it turned into a werewolf, and we're gonna keep dancing too.
Yeah,
and like, it's
brilliant. It's a brilliant video.
They pulled that off, and it wasn't. That wasn't amazing, you know.
And that wasn't the scariest thing about Michael Jackson either.
All right, so I know that you guys have the podcast will come out Thursday. Then you release the album on Friday, and then I think on Saturday you're playing an album release show with my boys in Earl of Hell. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
we are.
Nice.
Shout out to the Earl of Hell. They're class.
Yeah. So actually, the performance part of the Walk Into the Waves video is actually filmed where we're going to be, where the gig's going to be happening.
Oh, awesome.
So it's in a place called Little Buildings. It's not Newcastle. Ironically named, but it's a great little venue in Newcastle.
Yeah, it is. Big shouts for Scorer, who's built something up there. The guy that runs it. He does a really good job, doesn't he, of like getting like younger and smaller bands and older bands. He's really done something there. Like I think the scene in Newcastle was lacking a venue, a kind of go-to venue like that. I think.
Aside from a couple of places, it was all like run by sort of bigger promoters. That didn't really give a shit.
Yeah, it's like it's been a constant for 7 years now, I think. But
something like that,
and I think personally, I think Newcastle was kind of missing that like venue, like for like grassroots, and he gets loads of like touring bands as well, but he involves everyone. It's not just it's good.
Yeah.
And also like Earl of Hell, like sorry to drag this up to the other two, but like when we first asked them, they were like, yeah, we'd love to come and play, but will you ask the Vessel to play? Because they'd arranged to do a gig together, and they were like, we don't want to let them down. And I was like, well, as it happens, they're already on the gig anyway. But I just thought that was a really classy move of them.
Yeah.
So
they're good guys. Good guys.
Not a lot of bands would do that. We'd just be like, we'll just look out for ourselves. But that was quite a selfless move.
Yeah,
it is. It really is, and like it's cool to see about like obviously like on the rise like a lot, with that kind of attitude and kind of thinking above just themselves.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, with the trampled
album
all
comes
over,
out the 29th, so
yeah. Yeah.
So you guys are on a few different shows this summer, like a Desert Fest or something out there. You guys have some cool festivals out there.
Yeah, Desert Fest is so that's the week after the album launch. So next week, as we are live. Yeah, Desert Fest. I've never been, but the lineup's amazing, and it like there's literally no better festival for the sort of music we do.
Yeah.
In the UK, and then we're playing a smaller one in like somewhere up north called Bradford. It's a magical, mystical place. And that one's called Idle Fest, and that's kind of cool. So there's like Son of Boar, King Boa, CPSD, and Grandma Vedetta, who are really cool. And obviously we've just come back from Sweden as well, where we played with Truck Fighters for the Fuzz Festival, and that was
very cool,
fucking incredible. Yeah,
and our new best friends, Eldon. I keep getting it wrong.
there is an Elder though, right? Isn't there an
Elder?
Yeah,
I'm glad there is, because I keep saying it, and it's like, is there a band called that? I'm sure there is.
Yeah, there are.
But yeah, that if you haven't listened to them, you should listen to them. They're a great band.
Awesome.
Yeah. Bloody handsome as well.
Yeah. And they did keep up drinking wise. Well, it's not any of us are massive drinkers at all. Just English people seem to have a reputation over in Europe that we drink a lot. So
yeah, the Swedes can definitely put the drink away as well. So we'll make more match with some of the Swedes.
Yeah, we did. I think they're either like all or nothing over there.
Yeah.
And they were definitely all.
Yeah.
But that was really cool. Because we played over there in November, but in Stockholm, and that was class. So there was like Lowrider, Stone Jesus played. They were class. Enigma Experience, Stake. There was the Gristle, Cranium, Greg and Lurden. I can't quite pronounce.
I've never figured out how to say their name, but they're great though. Great album.
They're fantastic.
There's a video on how to say it, and I think AG got it closer than I will ever get.
I've been working on it.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else that you want to tell everybody? I mean, obviously the album is out. I'm assuming you guys have like maybe a pre-order or something up. It's coming out tomorrow.
There's a pre-order up for the vinyl and CD. The CD will be out the day of the album launch. The LP will be a little bit later because, well, everyone knows the reasons why.
Yeah.
But
July, we think, don't we? With July.
Yeah, I think we're looking at around July time currently.
Okay.
But yeah, there's pre-order available for it. I think the vinyl might be limited to 50 copies only.
Okay.
Maybe I might be telling a total lie here.
Right.
But it'll be limited to a certain number.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I think
it's on cassette as well.
On cassette?
Yeah, because everyone needs cassettes in their life.
Yeah.
They do, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. It's all go.
Awesome.
It is. Hopefully we'll get over to your side of the pond next year. I think that's the plan, is to try and get over. So fingers crossed.
We've kind of got a loose plan with that for coming over next summer.
Great.
Hopefully that comes off. Obviously you don't want to say too much until things are booked, but
sure. Well, best of luck with the album, and I hope to see you next year. And congrats. And thanks for being on. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, man.
Cheers.
All right. Later.
Thanks, everyone. Bye now. Bye. Bye.